Ladies and gentlemen, dear televiewers, last week began with issues concerning integration in the CEMAC sub-region, and the spark actually came from a communique released by the country, Equatorial Guinea, saying that it was going to step out of the decisions concerning integration in the CEMAC sub-region, and this also because they are not for the philosophy. Then came equally the period when the population of Douala was getting ready and set for the arrival of the head of state, His Excellency Paul Biya, who actually laid the foundation stone for the second bridge over the Vuri, and later Friday he went ahead to inaugurate actually the gas plant of Lobaba, still in the Littoral region of Douala. We shall also be talking with our guests today about the World Breastfeeding Week. We are receiving Mr. James Achanyi-Fontem, who is the Executive Director of Cameroon Link, actually, who has as objective promoting infant and child feeding. Good day, Mr. James Achanyi-Fontem.
Good day.
Thank you very much for accepting our invitation. So we would like to know actually what are the kind of activities that you are basically into now?
Yeah, I would want to tell those who are watching your TV that apart from being the Executive Director of Cameroon Link, I double as the National President of the Federation of Cameroon Breastfeeding Promotion Associations. This network groups some 44 civil society associations that are working with the government and other international organizations to make sure that mothers succeed in breastfeeding.
Thank you very much for that introduction, actually very explicit. When I agree earlier on said we shall start talking about politics, and talking about politics we shall be talking about the arrival of the head of state Paul Biya, like earlier on announced. If you're just joining us right now, thank you very much and welcome once again. The head of state Paul Biya, as he calls it, his work of art, is something which is going to come a long way to improve the lives of not only the population of Unaberi, where the bridge actually the first bridge was constructed, but also the entire population of Douala. The head of state actually laid the foundation stone, and Henry Kejan attended this very solemn occasion and brings us this report.
Over the sea of human heads that was present at the site of the foundation stone for the construction of a second bridge over the Vuru River was enough to decipher the magnitudes of the project. Overflowing to suffocation at the banks of River Vuri, a second bridge over the Vuri meant something to the cosmopolitan and business population of Cameroon's economic capital.
It's a good thing for the economy, as the president himself said. You can imagine the sufferings the people of the north, west, south, west have had trying to sell their food here. And the other way around, industrial goods, manufactured goods going into the hinterlands of the kinds of difficulties. So I think it's a very good thing that we were able to have this bridge open. It's just that small thing that the president said the other one has to take with two-wheel vehicles and so on. But I think it's still a country badly in need of bridges and roads.
The advantage for this building is came in the good time, because the traffic have many problems when we are take the goods at the seaport to go in Bafoussam or via Bafoussam to the North Cameroon. We have many problems to do it.
The economic importance of the bridge should not be overemphasized. When completed, the benefits that the country will reap will be countless. 4 regions would be honored by its services: the littoral, the southwest, the west and the northwest regions. And so they all streaming from these 4 regions to be living witnesses of the laying of the foundation stone by the head of state Paul Biya.
According to the head of state Paul Biya, these are one of the promises of his program that have been fulfilled. And actually, Mr. James Achanyi-Fontem, I would like to know, do you think that this second bridge over the Vuri is going to represent a lot for the population of Douala?
It's going to be a lot, not only for the population of Douala, but for the population of other regions like the northwest, west and southwest. And we should say that with the construction of the second bridge,
be easy for somebody to leave Douala and travel right to the frontiers of Nigeria, because this bridge is going to link up with all major roads that have been constructed. You know, the Manfe-Bamenda road is very smooth today, and President Biya himself announced that the road Manfe-Kumba or Kumba-Manfe is going to be tarred, and if it is tarred, those who are in Douala would not feel at a great distance from their neighboring countries.
You also talked about Garuakusemi and Menganga, Gambere, and several other roads. The ring road actually, which is going to be extended, which is like good news to most of those who are concerned in this area. So now the French Development Corporation is the first and most important partner in this project, alongside the Cameroonian government. So now, do you think that there has been consistency in the health states project during his New Deal government?
Well, President Biya inherited arrangements that were done by the first president. And you know, Cameroon is one of the key friends of France, and France, being a colonial master, wants to continue to take its responsibilities in the hands. And you know, we are independent, but we are still so dependent on France. And France is also benefiting from Cameroon because of its raw material. We have to understand that the delay in accepting that this bridge should be constructed was because they wanted to make sure that the agreements put in place all the funding. When you want to build a bridge, you don't want to start the bridge and not complete it, like the bridge which is in Coupe. You know, the bridge in Coupe was built and it has never been integrated because some parts of the projects have never been completed. So a bridge like the one which is going to be constructed over Furi is going to be a modern art, because it's not just going to be the bridge that we have now. And this bridge would serve even as a place for tourists, because if you see the description that was given by the head of state and the minister in charge of public works, you would understand that it's really a gift that they are giving to the littoral.
A gift indeed, not only for those of the littoral, like you earlier said, but also for those of the western region of Cameroon, the southwest and the northwest, and equally, why not neighboring countries, countries actually on the borders, like Nigeria, those who are also into business with some of our Cameroonian businessmen. Well, the same bridge, actually, the inauguration and its preparations caused a lot of anxiety in Douala, because a day before the arrival of the head of state, that was on Wednesday, between 1 p.m. and 3 p.m., everything was blocked because the last security regulations had to be made, and it actually affected circulation, it actually affected people's movement in and out. And in the following report, we shall have ample details. The helicopter that was seen flying across the skies of Bonaberi in Douala this morning was a sign that security around the site, to be visited by the head of state Paul Biya in a few hours, is being tightened and reinforced progressively. At about 2 p.m. across in Bonaberi, the traffic jam is huge. On moving towards the bridge, everything was stopped. No bike nor cars could budge for the same reason. The population going in and out of Bonaberi is making it on foot. Business appointments are missed, flights and journeys annulled, patients are weak and helpless, trekking to cross. Even those who buy or sell are carrying their goods on their heads, crossing the bridge. No one expected that this would happen, even though the president is not yet in Douala.
We have our transactions, we have things to do. Most of the offices are in Bonajo, so we need to go to Bonajo to do our transactions. Now that we are going to be blocked and it's a weekend, it's going to disturb us a lot.
There are people who are sick, people who are running to the hospital, there are people who are going to travel, and with all this, with all the paralyzing situation like this, people will not get to their destination on time. So we want
such an impact on the economy and the lives of the population not to be neglected even by the authorities of this area.
Again, we have to have for the future. We cannot say that because it's only for a few hours. I think everybody have support
that the president is expected in Douala, not only because of the laying of the foundation stone for the second bridge over the Vuri. It is a sign of hope for the Bonaberi inhabitants as well as those who are going in or out of the northwest, the west region and the southwest regions.
Everybody is so excited because we want a new bridge for what we have been going through. It's not easy crossing this place in the morning, going to work and coming back, the held down. Before you get to work, it's already late. You spend about 2 hours on the way, so we are really happy.
President Pobia's arrival in Douala from all indication and the temperature of the town at the moment rising is a sign that major accomplishments are being fulfilled as promised, even though the authorities have not yet made available a communication plan for this visit. Like earlier on said in that report, we saw actually that many people were affected. Patients could not cross over easily. It was very difficult even for those who were leaving school to get back home or those who were getting back home after work, because there are some people who actually walk across the bridge, either in the southwest, they live in Douala, and they walk in the southwest or vice versa. It was quite tough for those who were crossing over at that time. So what do you think about such a situation?
I would want to say that it's not a strange situation. We should understand that if you want to eat eggs, you must crack the egg. And it means doing some destruction before getting what you want. And if I go back to what a senior authority said once, when you want to do a piece of work like the one that is going to be done, there are some sacrifices that have to be made, and those are some of the sacrifices that were made. People not being able to displace themselves fluidly. Some people even lost, missed their plane, their flights, and all this because of unpreparedness. You know, Cameroonians had lost confidence that the project was going to be done, and when they announced to them that the head of state was coming, there were even some Cameroonians that were still septic that it's not going to work. And finally it happened like a dream, because I saw the way the ceremony went on. It was very smooth and very short. The head of state did not take so much time talking, because he knew he could not be talking about something people want to see. So he described what we should expect, and the ceremony went over. In the evening, people started circulating. We just needed to have told people quite a long time, and those who knew they were going to do their flight, they needed to have displaced themselves, knowing that such an activity was going to block the road. In fact, I worked in Bonaberi that day because we were on the field for the World Breastfeeding Week. We realized many of the people who had to come to our sensitization, they had problems moving, because not only at the bridge were things blocked, there were no taxis, all shops were closed, there was no vehicle, and even the motorbikes were not allowed to do certain distances. So all that, we consider them as sacrifices.
Sacrifices, actually, like you said in his speech on that same day, it's meant for development and it's going to be for everybody's good. Well, the president's 2-day visit continued on Friday, actually, as he went ahead to visit the Lobaba gas plant, which is a project that has been on since 2012, actually, and which will come to help equally the population of Douala in the provision of energy, at a very, very cheap rate, something which is quite laudable. It's inaugurated equally on Friday. Well, in the next report, we shall be getting into history. We shall be getting into the reasons, actually, why the bridge, the second over the Vuri, has taken so long, or exactly why the delay was on. Agent Henry is going to bring back historical facts.
After decades of leg dragging, the government of Cameroon struck a deal with the French Development Corporation to jointly finance the construction of a second bridge over the River Vuri. The then Minister of the Economy, Planning and Regional Development, Louis Paul Motaze, penned his signature on the agreement on behalf of Cameroon, signing side by side with the Director of the French Development Corporation, Dov Zara. The terms of the agreement was that France will provide 65 billion francs CFE, while Cameroon will source for revenue to support the remaining 45 billion francs for a new bridge. History tells us that Cameroon came a long way to make this dream come true. Many critics are quick to point out that a new bridge over the River Vuri to replace the 1950 colonial edifice has been long overdue, intimating that funding was a major problem. Though funding was available more than a year ago, others hold that the long-awaited construction phase was retarded due to the appropriate site. It was earlier estimated a second bridge was supposed to pass through Bonendale. That decision was overturned. Above all other reasons advanced why the delay critics hold is the presidential agenda, which did not permit for a quick leapfrogging of a new bridge over the River Vuri.
Thank you, welcome back, dear televiewers. If you're watching, then it is time for us to get back into the retrospective of the week. We are going to remind you equally that the week was made up of very, very important events, and the one-week activities actually that we launched in Yaoundé of the World Breastfeeding Week continued, and in Douala it was quite visible. Women were also encouraged in several ways to breastfeed more and more. And Mr. James Achanyi-Fontem, we're receiving today, is going to come back a little bit to that, because he's very, very involved in such matters. With the NGOs and associations that the Ministry of Public Health got involved in this very important and noble plan, as I might call it. What can you say actually was your contribution during this week?
No, I should start by thanking the government for having had the vision of decentralizing the activities. You know, it is the 21st celebration of the World Breastfeeding Week. Cameroon is one of the 172 countries that belong to the World Alliance for Breastfeeding Action that celebrates the week. In other countries, the week was celebrated from the 1st to the 7th of August. In Cameroon, it was delayed because everybody was saying, we celebrate the week every year. We celebrate the week every year, but we are astonished with the fact that only 20% of women in Cameroon breastfeed. And you would agree with me that 20% is a very low mark. It's not even 50%. So the Minister of Public Health, Mama Fuda, took the decision that these activities are activities that would give impact if they were community-based. And to get the community involved, you needed people who are within the community. That is why the civil society organizations were asked to step on board. And for the first time, this decision came to bring the civil society close to international funding agencies. It is UNICEF that produced the material that was distributed, and in big quantity. They had to reprint the national code which regulates the marketing of breast milk substitutes, and they had to do posters, they had to do kits for the media. The workshop had to be done for the media.
Okay, we shall talk about that other aspect. Thank you very much. You really got so many people out there informed on several issues, and it's quite important that a whole week is dedicated to such activities to sensitize the women and make them more aware of the fact that there is a great need to breastfeed. Now, in the following report, Annette Efeti actually is going to tell us the way forward, and we shall be back.
Nursing mothers can best breastfeed their babies if they are given adequate support during the first 6 months.
And when we're talking of mother support, it's because the mother is at the center of breastfeeding. That is infant feeding, feeding the child, giving the child the right to his or her food. And the best way to do it is to have a good start.
As Cameroon observes Breastfeeding Week, focus is to see how mothers can be supported.
The level of the family can arrange in such a way that the mother should have enough food. Some of the activities, household activities that the mother is doing can be done by relatives. The father who is the generator of the baby should understand that breastfeeding is a duty. We should advocate that the government should increase the number of months for leave for mother who has delivered, so that that maternity leave should be used for bringing up this child. And government should regulate laws which would get the formula companies not to market and advertise their products in health facilities.
Less than 20% of women in Cameroon do breastfeed, despite its advantages.
The breast is the first vaccine of the child. Breastfeeding is successful. You will realize that the mother would return to her normal beauty form, and the fats that have been accumulated within 9 months are being ground by the baby. But when you feed your baby exclusively for 6 months without even giving water, you are not going to spend on gas, wood, bottles, and other things like pots. And
lack of education has been identified as one of the problems that hinder women from breastfeeding. On the field, breastfeeding counselors meet with lots of problems.
Some of them are not able to feed well because of poverty and all the rest. Some of them, they even have the means, but they don't know what to eat. Usually the father never know the role they have to play when the mother is breastfeeding. It's as if they are totally absent. It's not that they don't want to sustain the mother, but it's just that they don't know the role to play.
Breastfeeding advocates, associations promoting breastfeeding, and health officials met in Douala this Tuesday to see how the practice can be promoted. The breastfeeding code was handed to all for a better understanding and implementation.
Before I report, you started mentioning something concerning the breastfeeding code of Cameroon, actually, which is not always respected, because women actually are supposed to spend 3 months at home after putting to birth to be able to take care of their children well before they get back to work. But it has been noticed that not only is it not respected by several employers, but at the same time it's not sufficient enough, because out of Cameroon, let's say in the diaspora in Europe, in America, women have about 6 months actually.
in some countries 1 year.
In some countries 1 year. So what can you say about it, and how can we go about changing such laws?
I think the decentralization that the Minister of Public Health has brought gives the opportunity to all the stakeholders to be able to say what they feel and what they think should be done. And if we want to progress like other countries, we have to copy good examples. It's time we advocate that mothers should be given 6 months maternity leave, and this 6 months maternity leave should be paid for, because breastfeeding is some sort of a duty, it's a responsibility, and it is an obligation of a woman. Breast milk is the right of a baby. If we have to understand that the breast milk of the woman is what develops the brain of the baby and makes the baby to start recognition and makes the child to be intelligent. We want children that are intelligent. We don't want children that react like animals. Very often in our communities, you will see some children throwing stones at their mother because these children were not breastfed, because these children did not get that attachment as a baby. And that is why we encourage mothers to breastfeed, because milk from the mother is human milk, and it makes the baby to grow humanely. And children that grow humanely respect their parents, they understand their parents, they do what their parents ask them, they listen to advice. But those that do not have the opportunity of benefiting from breast milk, if you see them, you would just imagine how they were brought up. They were brought up with a bottle, so they knew only the bottle, they know only the bottle, and they act like what was in the bottle. And I keep telling those who come to areas where I sensitize that if you want a lion in your house, give lion's milk to your baby, and you will find a lion in your house, because the gene that is in the milk that you give to the baby is what to resemble the mother or the father. And as humans who have taken human milk, they will grow up normally, respectfully. And those are some of the benefits. Breast milk is there free of charge. It has no cost. And if you decide that you want to use formula, we are not refusing that. People who cannot breastfeed should not use formula, but you should be able to understand that there is a rule. It must be affordable, it must be available, it must be feasible, and you must be capable of having it regularly. We have noted that the cases of diarrhea that come up is because most women take the formula and they do not respect the instructions that are put on the packaging. Because if the composition is respected, the water is clean. And I keep telling people that Cameroon does not have enough drinking water. So we should not start what we cannot really defend.
What about the cases where the mother cannot have breast milk right from the very first day and is obliged to maybe count on artificial milk? And what do you think about the proliferation of the various types of these artificial milks being produced today?
That is why the national code exists. There are companies that conform to the law by producing products that are good quality and verified. But there are quite a good number of companies that get something which looks like powder milk into our country. You would imagine some years ago we collected tins of formula, and in verifying we realized that it was just simple starch that was packaged and sold to mothers to give to their babies. This is not formula. That is why some of the companies have opted to join the campaign to raise the standard of what is in the market, so that the mothers who are using this milk, they should make an informed choice on what milk they want to give to their child. And we would want to say these companies also are advocating for breastfeeding, because they have said that breastfeeding is the best, and they give the instruction and they even put it on their packaging that as you buy this formula, you should understand that breast milk is the best. And if a company is saying that, you should understand that there is some sort of good faith.
Well, with the hope that equally your association or your non-governmental organization, if I may call it that way, continues working hard to sensitize more and more women to know of the importance actually of breast milk for their health and equally for the health of the children. The next topic we shall be having now concerns integration, like earlier on announced at the beginning of this program. Integration in the CEMAC sub-region. Is Cameroon considered to be a problem? Is Cameroon having enough of the advantages, or is Cameroon always finding itself in a disadvantageous situation? We shall have this report from Cameroon Link.
The Republic of Equatorial Guinea has published a communique threatening to erase the CEMAC Accord, binding member countries to respect the free circulation of people and goods within the Central African sub-region. While this reticent communique at a time sub-regional integration is most needed.
It was expected. They have a peculiar problem. Apparently they have a higher standard of living, and the clause of free circulation, CEMAC clause of free circulation, has been transformed to free settlement. So they realize that they have been invaded. People don't come to only do trade and commerce, they come and stay permanently and are looking for jobs. It's a problem. And construct houses. While here the minimum wage is 28,000 francs, countries like Equatorial Guinea and Gabon is about 230 euros, is about 180,000, 200,000 francs.
With this reticence, it is not easier for regional integration to be effective in the Central African sub-region.
Well, I was expecting a situation whereby CEMAC can produce. What does CEMAC produce among member countries? It does not suffice for Cameroonians to buy some Chinese goods or imported goods, then go and resell them in Equatorial Guinea. I was expecting a situation whereby the industrial tissue of the CEMAC region should have been harmonized. If Cameroon is producing cement, Gabon can be producing some other things and so on. But country A imports and then sends it to country B. looking also at when the Abamiko market came up, we were thinking that even the QC market, Cameroonians can go and sell at QC and then come back. Must they cross and cause problems? Those people don't like free settlement, want free circulation. So you cannot expect the contrary.
When the CEMAC heads of state took a giant step to forge the integration document, all the member states saw the benefits that will accrue if they converge their resources.
Cameroonians benefit. Those who think that they can do petty trade and survive. Because really no studies don't play that road. As I said, I hope some leaders can come to a situation whereby they have joined in industrial projects and what they produce, you should put embargo. You don't import those things to CEMAC zone so that they reap benefits. The industrial tissue of the CEMAC zone is very low. And I was listening the other day, report from CEMAC and BIAC. Economic growth has dropped in the CEMAC zone for 2013. These are not good signs. The industries are lacking in these zones. You cannot depend only on petrol and some fuel resources and cars and other development.
Fearing that Cameroon will swallow up smaller nations due to its population size, Equatorial Guinea and Gabon have tightened their borders, revoking the document on the free circulation of goods and persons.
Like I said earlier on, the spark came from the release from Equatorial Guinea stating its position of no integration actually with the other states in the CEMAC sub-region. Now what I'd like to know is that several accusing figures have been pointed to Cameroon. Is Cameroon having its own good share of this integration, or is it not having it, despite the very porous boundaries that we have?
I want to say that we are talking here of international integration, and we have a national integration problem. And if you realize that if we have a national integration problem, it is not the international integration problem that will be solved easily. Countries like Equatorial Guinea are small countries. The size of Equatorial Guinea is just as small, is even smaller than the whole of the littoral, I would say Douala. And you can understand why they think that we are looking at them as being little. And they have petrol, something which everybody wants. And they are afraid that if they open up, their petrol would probably not serve them because they are not in big numbers. This may bring many more people in to benefit from their petrol. And again, the problem of security is there. Cameroon is in a well-positioned, it's well-positioned in the Central African region. Why? We are a bilingual country. We have two cultures, strong cultures, English and French. And these strong cultures give us the upper hand sometimes to share ideas of the two cultures when decisions are taken at national and international level. And some of the countries that do not have that advantage would always feel that Cameroon is showing the boss. And in every situation, it should be understood that you cannot create a club without a leader. A leader has to come from somewhere. And that is why Cameroon is leading in the Central African Republic, in the Central African region.
I must say we are equally the breadbasket of most of these countries that surround us in this sub-region. We know, of course, that Cameroon imports from Cameroon. Other countries around. So what can you say about that? Does it not affect us in one way or another?
That is why I'm saying that the decision of the Equatorial Guinea would not serve them at all, because if Cameroon decides its food is not going across the boundaries, they would just collapse, because you can't have petrol and not have food and survive. And I don't see why, instead of going to the table to negotiate for better arrangements, you just say you are going to stay out. It's not good information that was being put out, and other countries would even benefit from such a position to take what that country would have benefited from the club of the countries that are in the Central African region. So it's more important now for the government of Equatorial Guinea to revise its position and find a way of dialoguing and presenting its situation more genuinely. I know their argument may be that, oh, they are not French and they are not English, and that the language that is there is the language that will not benefit other countries of the Central African region. But we understand that for a population to be well integrated, you need to use the languages that are there, and the more languages you know, the more opportunities you have, the more arrangements you can make.
Thank you very much, Mr. James Achanyi-Fontem. Thank you very much, Mr. James Achanyi-Fontem. He's the Executive Director of Cameroon Link. He was our guest today. It's not that we calling it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Flora, for giving me this opportunity to air my views.
Hope to have you around today.
Yes, at any time you need it.
Okay. We come to the end of this program, the roundup of this week. We shall be back with you again next week for more analysis and more discussions on the burning issues of the world. Have a very nice day and stay tuned for our programs on Camlink.